Hey guys, in this quick presentation, I'm gonna share about the broken Windows theory. So I'm gonna be sharing some examples about backend and frontend in general, and so you can see this broken Windows theory. It's basically a different perspective of looking into tech debt, and hopefully this is useful for you. So let's begin. There are some proverbs and some quotes about in Spanish. It's called "A donde fueres haz lo que vieres." I search for a one in English, and it says about when in Rome, do as Romans do. The agenda for this talk is gonna be about the concept and theory about the broken Windows theory. Also, how does this apply to software? Then we're gonna see some backend examples in Ruby and some in the front end using React.js or JavaScript, some questions. And here is the theory according to Wikipedia. The broken Windows theory is a criminological theory that visible signs of crime, antisocial behavior, and civil disorder create an urban environment that encourages further crime and disorder, including serious crimes. The theory suggests that policing methods that target minor crimes, such as vandalism, public drinking, and fare evasion, help to create an atmosphere of order and lawfulness, thereby preventing more serious crimes. And the question is, how does this apply to software development? And well, I guess there is a clear great value in maintaining just a certain level of quality in our solutions. You know, uh, and even if in some cases even if you don't have a like this broken window yet, but you have some small cracks in there, and sometimes when you come to this functionality, so you see these small cracks in there. So as we're trying to be consistent, uh, we try to follow the same rules. So yeah, but sometimes being consistent with this mess is not that cool. So, and every person that contributes to this mess is not really changing the entire system or the entire software. But yeah, in the long run, we will have more broken windows. This is a different way or a different perspective looking into tech debt, but in this case, we're talking about broken windows. And but something important to mention is like the perfection. In this case, we're not trying to be perfect, just maybe good enough. But sometimes we need to start policing small stuff, in the code reviews, because if we don't pay attention to those small details, at some point these small details are gonna be really bad. So we're not trying to be perfect, just good enough. But as you have seen in some core reviews, there are some places that are not even in that level of acceptance. So yeah, something important also is to mention that we need to decide as a team. Sometimes and many times we have decided to leave it as it is just because we need to finish with that really soon, or because the deadline is going to happen soon. So, but yeah, we need to be careful about uh, yeah, just uh, taking these decisions and leave it better, or if we will need to come back later and spend more time on an actual refactor. So yeah, we need to come up with some agreements as a team. But in the meanwhile, I'm gonna share some small crimes I have seen when doing some code reviews or when working on this specific endpoint model controller or in the front end. And I'm gonna start with some examples in the backend side. And also, yeah, look, taking a look into the backend. Sometimes you come to this place that is following some hacky architecture, or you have some fat controllers, model services. So in some cases, there are some flaky tests. So at the end, you come to this place, you see, okay, uh, everyone is adding all the code and the logic inside the controller. Let's continue doing that. And yeah, at the end, yeah, we start breaking some development rules, some best practices at the end. Same for the front end. We have several fat React components or two generic ones that at some point we try to reuse them, but in the at the cost of just adding new conditions there to support the new scenarios and also the existing ones. And these are just some quick examples. So let's look into some more specific ones. And in this case, let's begin with this use case. Let's say that we have a ticket and the main goal is in this is to support a new audience. And some of the existing values received by a third party might need to change. And in some cases, we need to support new names. So this happened for the single sign-on and also for the mailers at some point. So let's say, okay, yeah, I just need to support new attributes and we will need to rename some of them. But in the moment we have this model. So as you can see, we are just taking those values from a JSON object. So in some cases it is just the direct attribute, and in some cases we are checking in both places. And this is in the model, but we also have some similar info. We used to have some similar logic, but in different places. And basically, we were adding and taking different values. So in this case, we can see like similar approach, but different places. So we're not using the same logic. And the thing I wanted to take a look and a quick analysis here is like the email one. So if you see here, without looking into any documentation, do you guys know if you come to this code and are you able to say, yeah, why are we checking different attribute names? Why not just email address, the first one or the second one with lowercase? Why are we supporting these two scenarios? Is the first one deprecated or is the second one? How do we know? Just by looking into the code without looking into the third-party service, looking into the HTTP request. How do we know that this is actually needed, like checking in both places? Is there a way to do that, like just by looking into that? Or do I need to look into somewhere else, ask a different developer? Maybe they know about what's the final one if we change it. So at the end, yeah, my point here is like this code is not self-explanatory. I don't even see a comment, but yeah. So let's say this is not a broken window yet, but it starts having some scratches and some cracks there. So the next question I'm gonna say is like, once you come to this place, to this code, what would you do next? Like, would you build on top of that your ticket, or would you fix and search about these different scenarios, and would you remove the one that is deprecated, or would you just add on top of that? So, what's the most common? Will What's the most common thing you will do in these cases? One or two? Let's say it is number one. Yeah, it's possibly the easiest and the fastest. Yeah, you don't need to care about the existing ones. You just need to add on top of that. So let's say, yeah, we decided to support a new audience. So as you are already there, let's say I'm gonna work on the service first. So in addition to the email address, in capital E and lower E, I'm gonna add the email because this is the new attribute for the new audience. So yeah, pretty simple, right? Just an or condition there. Same for first name. Let's say in this case, it's we're supporting new attribute names. So there you go. As in this case, it's getting a little bit more complex. Let's create a method there and just check with existing, then the new one, and any other um, values. Same for the other attributes. And yeah, similar changes you do for the model. So you are repeating some code. At some point, if in the future someone else comes here and they're going to say, okay, yeah, we're checking on different values. How do I know if I want to deprecate one of them? It's going to be kind of difficult because you will need to look into the HTTP request from this audience one and the audience two. So yeah, at the end, yeah, this is not breaking the app, but it's going to make it a little bit complex to just make a small tweak or even to make to add some aspect test or yeah, some unit test. So how will it look a better approach? So first of all, I would like to share this process. We have seen this one, but we don't have it in any formal wiki page or documentation. So basically, what I'm gonna suggest is basically, yeah, you come into this model and service. So you check the pieces involved, then what I will suggest to do is like prepare and refactor the existing solution. Let's say in this case, okay, let's look into the existing. Can we deprecate one of them? It's gonna be a really simple tweak, not that like an entire refactor at the end. But this is gonna be in a separate PR, separate branch, so you can also fix some Robocop warnings. You can indent, fix the yeah the syntax or something like that, but just this PR is going to be about that. Then once you finish with that, you can start working on the actual changes, the new logic to support and based on this initial branch. So then you can follow up about PRs and some notes, like in this case the QA can be done in the second PR as is in the one you want to test new audiences, but also you need to make sure you don't break the existing ones. And the code reviews can be easier made. Like, yeah, you can tag, okay, can you check this one? Just making some quick refactors, improvements, making these methods easier to understand, more descriptive, etc. And in this one, I'm actually adding new logic and the new audience and the new changes for that. So let's say we follow that process. So this is kind of the thing is gonna look like the first PR, just preparing that. Basically, in this case, is the model. So basically, you don't care about the JSON data itself because that is not responsible for the model. The model just it's responsible to take that value directly from somewhere else. Yeah, and in this case, I created this attributes chooser service. It can be named as any as you want, just a new class. And internally, you can test that service. You can document that service, that chooser to show like, oh, we're supporting this audience, this audience. This is the way it looks for this one. So basically, you are encapsulating all the logic, the complexity into this service. So whoever that comes here, they will know that, okay, uh, um, here we're using this service to take the right values. And if you want need to change, and let's say the first name or a different attribute, you can keep it as it is because we don't want to refactor the entire thing, right? But we just want to leave it like the new approach. So if in the future you need to change the first name and support a new one or change the existing one, you will see that there is a better place to add that logic. And yeah, this is the content of the service. Basically, you receive this JSON object. So you prepare that. So if you really want to know like, what's this value about member ID? So you're gonna see here like, okay, member ID is taken from two places, audience one and audience two. So, and same for email or other attributes. So if you go there, you're gonna see like, okay, for audience one, sorry, you're taking this information from the email address with capital E, but from audience two, you're taking it from this other attribute. Same for other attributes. Oh, for this other method, we're taking it from member ID, but from subscriber ID. So this is a way to actually document. You don't need to go there and, okay, what's the name of this attribute in your payload? No, no need for that because you already are documenting this. And also, if you want to see the actual payload, you can go to your RSpec test. So you will see there, no need to leave these files and ask uh, someone about this logic because you don't know if this is new or is deprecated. So so that's it. It's a quick example about backend. Now let's look into some React.js examples. What I call how to identify some broken windows or one that is gonna be broken soon. So this is pretty similar. I'm gonna say like some software development rules and principles. So I name it as broken this window. In this case, is a single source of truth. We are trying to follow this principle whenever we can. So let's say in this case, it's a container logic. And basically, as I'm working on a refactor, I realized that sometimes we take the value from the direct reducer. Sometimes we take it from the user, but at the end, it's like, oh, if it is not here, this value, let's take it from here. Then in the next steps, we can inject this value into the right reducer. So the problem with this code is like you need to know in what step or in what place you are actually injecting the new value. So this is not like only one single source of truth because yeah, you can take it from here or there. So at the end is like maybe what it happens in the past, yeah, or what it happens sometimes is like you come here. Oh, I need this information. It's not in the reducer. No, it's not there at this point. Okay, can I take it from the user? Okay, let's inspect the user. Oh yeah, the value is here. Let's take it from there. So yeah, that's kind of the quick fix for that. You don't need to worry about, oh, okay, what about the other steps? What about this other reducer? So you just add new lines there. And it can happen in other steps, like, oh, now it's not even in this place, nor in this other one. Let's take it from this other place. So the single source of truth is broken here. And some functional programming principles broken, maybe. Um, and this one is another example. This is an action for Redux. So basically, there are some signs here breaking the, the principles for functional programming. But I wanted to focus on the usage of external and global states because as I know, we want to create pure functions. So, you know, you get data, you process data, you return data, or just process data. But in this place, I'm gonna say it like at some point you were using this action, but there was a new requirement that in addition to do the existing logic, we will need to support new conditions. And in this case, we will need to check uh, and run a new and dispatch a new action depending on the current user role. So instead of just passing directly the role, well, there are some principles broken here, as I can see. Instead of passing the or accessing this global state, I will expect to get in the initial data, maybe the current user role. So you can see like, okay, here we're using initial data and also the role. So here we can just check if user role is equal this, Y, or Z. We can run this. But at the end, if you do that, you will need to change the function name because it's not going to be set initial data for appointment. It's going to be doing more than that. So, so yeah, at the end, it's like we need to be careful about just making quick conditions, adding quick conditions there. And yeah, also about the single responsibility broken window, we also have this one. This one, if you look into the name of the method, you will see like the responsibility for this one is to update the schedule of them. So basically you receive some attributes, but I have seen this several times, like as we're using this and now we need to support new audiences, new scenarios, we just start adding some default values there in the function just to support the existing ones and being able to just support new scenarios. But I guess there is always a better place to do that at a higher level, maybe. So basically, and also in addition to just update the schedule, attempt eligibility, this is also skipping. So if you really do this, you will need to change the method name at some point to reflect that you're not just updating, but also skipping. So it's going to be update or skip or something like that. But then you're going to have to update in all the places that you're dispatching this action. So it's going to be more work, of course, but at the end, you're gonna need to realize, okay, am I renaming this function, or should I place this logic somewhere else? Yeah, I can share more examples later, but just wanted uh, to share some examples. So maybe yeah, as I said, we need to make some agreements and come to those refactors later if yeah, it's better sooner than later. So and that's it. My final piece of advice is gonna be like, be mindful of broken windows and be a good citizen and a Boy Scout. And yeah, that's it. Any questions?